Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube, which I'm starting to do a bit more of now. What I'm going to show you today is full-on maintenance of the filtration system for the pond. This is treating it as the sort of pre-winter big heavy clean, backwash the bead filter, do everything before it gets a bit too cold to have the doors open for a good few hours. So yeah, let's run through it and see how we get on. Right, so you all know now how my filtration setup works, but I'll just give you a very quick run through. So out the bottom drain, all the way through this 4-inch pipe, through the back, up into the sieve filter, which is running well. As you can see, it's pretty filthy. It hasn't been cleaned for about a week and a bit, so we'll clean that today. And then we come out of the bead filter into the now hard piped pump section, through into the bead. It's an Econo Bead 60 filled with the beads and also some K1 micro. Out of the bead filter, through the inline heater, which still is not plugged in, and we're now mid-October, so I'm happy with that, and we're still at 25.5 degrees, and the room is nicely insulated, so I can't complain. Yeah, anyway, so through the heater, all the way up through a 55 volt Evo Aqua UV, and all the way down to the back and in at the far end. So what we're going to do today, which I do probably every 6 months, is clean out the bead filter. Now I do keep a nice clear top on this so I can see the condition in there. It's not too bad, but water quality is starting to get a bit murky, and as I say, it's just not been done for 6 months. So the first step is to purge, to do a rinse with this air blower, which is this really powerful meaty air pump that sits on this one-way valve at the back. And I'll talk you through it now. The bead filter, which is just there down behind the filtration set, what runs under the tank at the back is a long 2-inch flexi hose, which comes out the back there, which I've just unfurled all the way out, just out onto the grass. So what we need to go and do now is to rinse it with the air backwash first. So the first step is to obviously turn the pump off. We have to turn the pump off before we start closing valves and whatnot. So that's the main valve back to the tank. I also want to no I don't, I want to valve off the flow out the top of the bead filter. It's hard to do one-handed, so that's crucial. So now I can't send any dirty water back into the tank. And down at the bottom here is the waistline of the bead filter. So what we want to do is open that up. Easier said than done with one hand again. So that now means all the waste is going to go out that black pipe into the garden. Just to make sure, I'll close off the feed going into the bead as well. So that now is the bead filter completely isolated. The air pump is on, and what we have to do now is manipulate this spider valve at the back. So I want to put that round to rinse. It's easy, just push lever onto, I don't know if you can see that, the rinse mode. Now that's on rinse. It's always worth double, treble checking your valve arrangements. So 1, 2, filter's valved off, waistline is open, we're in rinse, and now what we want to do is power up the air pump, which I probably should have got ready prior and plugged in. Now this is quite loud, so we'll see how we go. Right, now ready? This will do the air pump, which will force air backwards through that to tumble all the media, dislodge any waste. There we go. And we go out and see what's happening with the waste pipe. You can see it's kicking around a bit. Already we've got lots of rubbish coming out. There we go. You see the colour of that. There we go. Okay, so that air pump is doing a great job. I'll just turn it off because it is quite loud. Now what we can see is that has now drained a lot of that murky, horrible water out of there, blasted it around a bit, so I'll just let that settle. I'll put it back on. What we should see is that really tumbling about. You see the force of that air pump, it's quite incredible really. Okay, that'll do. Turn off. Now what I like to do is I will run rinse using the pump. So you want to open up the flow, still leave that isolated and still leave that arrangement completely as it is, and then we put the pump back on. And what that'll do now is fill it back up with water but purge all of that suspended crap out to drain. You see it slowly filling up. There we go, back to the top. And what we should see is a load of murky, horrible water being discharged to waste. And there we go. Look at that. That really is. Got a lot of rubbish coming out of that filter. Now what I should say is that obviously uses quite a lot of water from the tank, so I've got the actual tank filling whilst I'm doing this. But we'll turn that pump off again and re-isolate that, and then I'll give it another blast with the air just to purge what's in the filter. Really kick it about again. There we go. Now what you'll notice so far, we've done the air purge and a rinse. I've probably discharged about 200 litres of water and I haven't got my hands wet. I've got no buckets to carry, I've got no messy towels everywhere, I'm not leaking water anywhere. It's like the most simple maintenance going, and that was the whole point of designing a system like this. So now we've rinsed, we've purged it with air again, I'm going to do a backwash cycle, so I'll show you that one now. Okay, so we're finished with the air blower. We don't need that anymore. I mean, the power on that thing is incredible, as you see. Don't need that. So what I want to do now is to pop this into backwash. So obviously the pump's off. You would never do this with the pump running. Push the lever down all the way around to backwash. There you go. I'll just show you what it says on the filter here. You've got rinse, recirculate, so you can take the bead offline. Backwash, which is what we want to do now. Close the filter off, and waste. We just want to run water to waste, and then the top one is normal filtration setting. So what the backwash function does, if you imagine normally water is forced in through the top and out through the bottom, this just reverses that, so it's going to force water back the other way, again to just disturb and remove all the waste off the drain. So simple as just popping the pump back on again, and we should see that. Oh, 1 minute, I've forgotten to open that. Try again. And now we see the water coming out the top this time to backwash, flush down through the filter. And what we'll see again, it's probably the same as what we saw last time, but just for completeness. Yeah, look at that. Oh, that lovely stuff, which is fantastic for the grass. So I generally let this run relatively clear, and we do a final rinse. Okay, so obviously you have to keep an eye on the water level in here. It's dropping a fair bit, but we'll let that backwash for a little bit. And then the final stage will be a long rinse to clear all the stuff left in the filter. So we'll do that now. So that's backwashed a fair bit. Pump off. We want to go back round to rinse, so lever down, all the way round to rinse. So that puts the filter back on the right way round. And now we'll fill up. Hopefully the beads should look a lot cleaner, which they do. Look at those, you can see the whites of the beads. And now I run the rinse until the water practically runs as clear as I can get it. I'll just put my shoes on. There we go. So now that's just rinsing out the filter. It's a lot clearer already, and I can put that back onto its normal filtration cycle soon. But as we're doing a water change as well, I'll just let it pump out this way. Okay, so we're now cracking on with the water change as well. As you can see, the hose is out into the garden again. I won't need to show you where that's going. Generally drop the water down to this lip, and that's generally about 1,500 litres of a change, so quite a bit, as you can see at any one time. Got the sunlight here needs fish at the minute. But we're going to go down all the way here because the filter clean, so standard 1,600 litre change, and that gives them a nice weekly, although it's been about 10 days, their standard change. Okay, so water change is done, it's drained out. Now let's go and look at how we refill this tank. So if you remember from previous videos, I've plumbed in this white pipe that goes all around the fish room. Is a quick fill and it feeds all of my tanks. So I've got the water supply connected. This blue valve fills the tank back up. Hear that coming through. And if you can see, got the sun up in the top, there's my fill line. Now it does take me about 3 hours to refill that much water. But it comes in at lukewarm. I've got it connected to the indoor shower, so it comes in at whatever I set it to. It's currently on 26. And what you can see again is I've changed 1,600 litres of water. I've now started refilling it. I haven't had to carry any buckets. I've not got my hands wet. I've just had to change a few valves, and it's all done. So bigger tanks, if they're planned well, are, in my opinion, a lot easier to maintain and keep. So that really shows you my whole procedure of filter clean and refill. And I'll just show you briefly again cleaning the sieve filter. That's the messiest bit of the job, and then we're done. Okay, so sieve filter behind me. I'm just going to clean it out now. So just get the lid off. There's a little bit of condensation that comes in. That just leans up nicely there. So you can all see, the level of dirt inside. Now for this job, all we need is a paintbrush. Now, again, doing it one-handed isn't ideal, but in essence, all I do is get all of the solid waste off the main sieve. That then just all goes down to the bottom bit here. These sieves really are fantastic. See, there's no foams to clean, there's no messy media changes or bags of media that need to be rinsed, and this really is just a big mechanical filter to trap all this solid waste that you're seeing here. Oh, that's my ink pad going off because I didn't unplug it. There you go. Sorry. So there you go. That's pretty much the crux of it. All that solid waste has come down to the bottom now. Again, I've not got no muck on my hands, I'm not dirty. I push all that waste into that drain. So all that waste goes in there. And then all we do is, this is the waste valve on the base of that sieve, so all that waste is currently sat in there. Now I'll just set this up so you can see what I'm doing, I think. There we go. So I am now just going to open that waste valve and collect all that rubbish. there we go. And that is all of the dirt from that filter. Filter's now clean-ish. I'm just going to chuck a little pint of water over that just to rinse the last bits out. And that is the sieve filter cleaned out. Okay, so that's the water refilling now. One thing I do, because obviously we're filling up the mains water or heated blended water, but mains water, is use a dechlorinator. Now I use Sieve Safe, but there are loads of brands out there, but this is probably the most concentrated one and one I trust the most. Works out so much better buying Safe because it's a powdered form. That 1 kilo pot can treat 960,000 litres. So yes, 960. You heard that right. A lot of water. Obviously, there's loads of variables in that. You know, level of chlorine coming in on your mains water will take more thiosulfate to neutralise it. But for argument's sake, it treats a fuck ton of water. I generally use a quarter teaspoon. A quarter teaspoon on their advice treats every 1,250 litres. So I've just changed 1,600 litres. But what I do is I put about a quarter teaspoon in now. So not a lot. And all I do is just, you can see this, just chuck it into the main flow of where it's filling up. And then near the top, when I'm down to the last sort of 500 litres to go, I'll do another dose. So it's near enough, just under a double dose. That's worked for me in the past, and it will mop up any ammonia that these fish have given off during the water change process. So obviously it's like three and a half hours without any filtration going on, so you can't really overdose in this stuff. So that's as easy as it gets. And the positive side of using Sieve Safe is that it stinks to high heaven. So you can really wind your mates up by getting to sniff that every now and then. But yeah, that's that. So there we go. I won't harp on about it anymore, but you've seen how easy my process is now. Hopefully that gives a little bit of inspiration for anyone that's looking to build a large pond or a large aquarium, even a koi pond. Basically the same equipment applies, just how easy it is to maintain. And the thing about the hobby, when you run a fish room such as I do with multiple tanks and obviously the tank indoors as well, is you don't want your chores to become chores really. You want it to be a nice, easy, low hassle, low stress way of maintenance. As soon as maintenance becomes a chore, you start falling out of love with the hobby. You spend more time cleaning, less time watching the fish, all that sort of stuff. So now I basically can walk away from this. I'll set a timer on my phone for 2 hours, come back and check it, and it should be another hour after that, and we're done. Yeah. So thank you for watching. If there's anything else you want me to run through, filtration wise, or anything at all, drop me a message, leave a comment, and we'll have a look at that. But yeah, thanks for watching.